Okay. I don't know if anybody's actually watching right now, but hopefully my mic is working. Let me pull that over. Oh, there we go. Get some feedback. Okay, cool. So yeah, just like last week, gonna go through assignment 2 this time. Program from start to finish. Basically just gonna give some tips and maybe just some suggestions on how we can make this work. So I'm probably gonna change this one quite a bit in comparison to the last one. I will probably throw out some variables and throw in some things, so it might end up being a little bit different than what we started with, but this one was kind of open-ended, so there were a lot of things that you could do in this one as well that might be different from what I did, or what I'm going to do at least. So first things first, we have all of these getters and setters, all these accessors and mutators, so I'm just going to go ahead and write all these out. These ones should be pretty simple. So we have like first and last, and so we just have a string for the name, so I'm just going to take the name and I'm going to equal it to first plus space plus last, and that should be good. And I'm just going to write it on one line. I don't know why it was tabbing. Okay, so that one, and then get name, all that has to do is return name. Okay, I don't really know why it's tabbing, or like hitting enter for me. I don't really want that. Set passenger type. Oh yeah, I'm going to rewrite this one really quick. So it was originally a string, but I think it would be better to do it with an enumeration type, which we went over briefly. So I'm just going to do something called enumeration passenger type. And I'm going to do veteran and non-veteran and use those instead. Cool. And so all I have to do is, instead of a string, I will make this take a passenger. Maybe it's better to give it a different name. We'll say status. Alright, so I will pass a passenger status to this one. I'll just call it status. And then we'll set that. So we will say that the passenger type is equal to pass status, and then we will, this is going to give me an error because right now passenger type is a string, and I'm going to make it that new enum type, so we'll make it passenger status. Oops, space. Okay, so now that's a enumeration type. Don't know why that's giving me an error now. What did I do? Did I not finish typing things? That's probably why. Identifier name is undefined. Okay. Well, let me move this down a little bit. Okay, so that should fix it. And then we said, yeah, it was going to do this, right? And then get passenger type. We will just return the passenger type. Pretty much all these are just going to look the same. They're just getters and setters, so it's just going to be me writing return and set. And then we said that we'd change that from a string to a passenger status enum type. Okay. So that should take care of the passenger class. Why is that still green? is unscoped. Prefer enum class over enum. I could. Yeah, okay, fine. We'll put that here. Oh, but see, then it doesn't. No, it still doesn't like it. Oh well, that's fine. We'll just throw it there. I don't know why it's upset about that. Okay, and then these again are going to be pretty similar. So we'll set the int, we'll just call it new seats or something like that. And we'll just set it, new seats. I think I'm just going to be lazy. I'm not going to keep fixing those. I don't know why it keeps doing that. It's really annoying. So these ones, we'll just return the price. Oh, whoops. Rather, ticket price. Ah, okay, so this one's actually one that we have to write, maybe. So check rocket availability. You could do this a number of ways. The intended way was to have it return the amount of available seats left, or just the amount of seats in general. I'm just going to do this as bool instead, and then I'm going to have it return. So I'm going to let seats be a number that's set once only for each rocket, and it's just going to be the number of seats that the rocket has, and then I'm going to use the book seats variable to check how many seats have been booked. So we'll just say if seats minus booked seats is greater than 0. So if there are any seats left, then we'll say we're good. Booked seat. Let me make that plural. Let me just change a couple of these names. Rocket type, seats. I think the rest of those are okay. Yeah, so I'm just going to have that check whether or not the actual rocket has any seats left, and I think that'll just make more sense. I don't know. Okay, set rocket type name. So this one sets the name of the rocket. So I think we have a field called rocket type, and this one will just equal the name that we're giving it. Get rocket type. This one will just return it. Okay, purchase ticket actually does something. So purchase ticket, we want to actually. So it's just void. We want it to. Are we typically allowed to change the function type like that? No, not in general. I don't want you to. In this case, I'm again going to be a little bit lenient with this program just because it was kind of open-ended. But in general, for the program or like the assignments for this class, is at least the types are pretty hard set. Unless you can always ask somebody to in the Discord chat if you want to like change the return type, and we'll let you know if that's okay. This one I just changed because of the fact that so I changed that one to a bool just because I think it makes more sense with like the checking philosophy. You usually don't want to do that in main if you can help it. The thing about object-oriented programming is you usually want to have like these little self-contained helper functions. So I think that'd be the way I would program it if I was doing it from scratch. And then the same reason I did passenger status being an enum type and then changed all the return values for those ones is just I think it makes more sense, and strings are also kind of bad, so that's why I threw that out. Hopefully that answered the question. Yeah, so we have purchase tickets, I guess. So that one should just purchase a ticket, and it can't return anything based on the way we have this set up. So it shouldn't really lock you out or like let you know about anything. So we could check the rocket availability and make sure that works, but I'm just going to make this do book seats plus plus. Let's let it do that. So let's make the number of seats go up by 1. And then get book seats. So yeah, you see those are grouped together, so I think that's what was intended as well. So we'll return book seats. That one I probably won't even call. This one's set, so we'll say velocity equals new velocity. Would help if I spelled it the same way. Nope. There we go. And then get velocity. We'll just return it. Return velocity. It seems like a lot of these were just getters and setters. The main brunt of this, I think, was in the main. Which is not normally what we want, but that's okay. I might add some more functions later. So set fuel capacity. We'll just say this is capacity. And then we'll say, I assume there's one called fuel capacity. Yep, equals capacity. That's spelled right. So set rocket specs, that sets the rest of everything, right? So there's velocity, which we already set, fuel capacity, which we already set, and I assume, so this takes 2 doubles and a string and 2 doubles, so that will take the propellant, the acceleration, and the thrust. So let's call it P, acceleration, we'll just call it ACC, and then double for the thrust, we'll just call F, or THR, thrust. And then we'll just set this. So propellant equals P, ACC, acceleration equals ACC, and the thrust equals THR. So time rec equals time. I think that's what it's called, so that should be good. And then last one for the rocket is return time rec. Okay. So I think that's everything in there. And then we just have the menu. We have show rocket menu, and that should be too hard. Oh, right. I renamed this to book seats. Cool. So that's taken care of. This talks about how those are all uninitialized. Normally we want to, so I guess as an aside, we're doing, or I'm going to at least do, something where I use all of these setters to fill in the stuff from the table. In general, it's a better idea to use a constructor than to have a bunch of setters like that. I know the way I program is I almost exclusively never allow setters ever. I will just, or at least very rarely, I will just use only getters, and then I will let everything be set in the constructor only. That way you're required to put it the first time you create the object, and then after that it's stuck. You can't change it. So do passenger functions implementation here. If you haven't done it in the class declaration body, well, don't need to do that because I did it. Rocket function implementations, those are already done. And then there's just the menu, or you can put them in the body, which we did. And then implement show rocket menu, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do this one outside just because it's kind of long, but I don't have to. I could have done it in the body if I really wanted to. Alright, and then we're going to cheat a little bit. And I'm just going to copy and paste this from the syllabus, or the rubric. So, it should be somewhere down here. So the show rocket menu was showing this stuff. I don't think it showed anything past that. I guess I could show this one as well. I'm just going to show both of these, I suppose. Oh, I guess C++ doesn't like multi-line strings. Very strange. Okay, I'm going to have to add a bunch of stuff in here. Oh well, that's alright. Let me just C out and line. And then let me just duplicate that a bunch of times and we'll just use that. You know, it might be a little bit more convenient. I just put the quotation marks and then just use that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, that's annoying. Oh, you know what? No, there's a better way to do this. Yeah, I gave somebody permission to change this one. I'm going to drop this altogether. Boom. I'm going to get rid of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this, and I'll get to it in a second. I'm going to pass this a array of rockets. I guess that's not the way you're allowed to do it in C++. And I'm just going to call it rockets. I don't think I have to set it. Yep, that's fine. So I'm going to, instead of using obj1, obj2, obj3, obj4, for the sake of convenience, and you'll see why in a second in main, why I'm doing all of this, I'm going to put all of the rockets in an array, and that will be a huge time save, a huge save on just writing code in general. So almost never ever, when you're doing object-oriented programming, don't individually make a bunch of objects like this unless it's really small. 4 isn't probably that bad. But yeah, not a good idea. Actually, you know what else I'm going to do? We have this array of passengers. I'm going to do, for the sake of convenience, I'm going to change some things up. I'm going to move this vector of passengers, and I'm going to, rather than just make one collective one, I'm going to make it for the whole rocket. No, that's wrong. That's for passengers. I'm going to let the rocket each have their own individual passengers. We'll throw that here. And this will be nice because if we let these guys just be for each individual rocket, then we don't have to worry about doing it in main. We can do it in here, and then we can also take advantage of the fact that we're using a vector. So I also gave you the option to use an array, and it wouldn't be much different, but I'm going to use a vector here just because it's convenient. So when I'm going to purchase a ticket, I'm going to change it to take a passenger, and I'm going to call them pass. And then I'm going to get rid of booked seats altogether. I'm going to drop it. Booked seat, that's gone, goodbye. And I'm going to replace that with a vector, because if I keep booking seats in the vector, it's just going to, or keep adding passengers, then, you know, we'll be good. Because the passengers, every time I add one, that'll be the same as booked seats, right? So I'll do that minus size. So the size of the passenger vector, if I just keep adding passengers, will be the same as the booked seats. So I don't need a separate variable for that. And I can use a passengers vector to organize things, which we won't actually need for the program, but it would be very nice if we were to extend this program to something where we need to look at the passengers for each rocket. So when you're doing object-oriented, usually it's a good idea to tie things to the actual individual object if, you know, the object should have a specific, you know, thing like that. So each rocket has its own passengers, right? So I think it makes more sense to put it in there than it does to put it statically in main. Right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a passenger later, and then we will say passengers dot push back pass. And so this one will adds the passenger to the list of passengers. Books their seat. Okay, and then instead, I said I'm going to use the size to display that. Okay, so that should be a little bit nicer now. And now we don't even need this. Rocket Constructor doesn't need to do book seats anymore, because it will initialize the passenger vector automatically. At least it should. If not, maybe I'll throw that in there, but it should be fine. Okay, have I done everything? Oh yeah, I was in the middle of doing this. I said I was going to use an array of rockets instead, and the reason is that way I don't have to keep printing 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's also expandable if I wanted to do more rockets. So I will say for int I equals 0, I less than rockets length. Nope, that's C#. Length. It's gonna tell me this is undeclared. Expression must have class type. It does. Do I need to make that? No? Come on, C++. I know this is the way you like arrays. Why do you not consider it a class type? Okay, well, I would say normally we'll just do it as an array, but maybe I'll just make it a vector. And so we'll use size again. If you know you're going to hard code an amount of things, I usually recommend putting them in an array. Vectors are for when we have like dynamic sizes. But that's okay. It's not a big deal if we use a vector. So I don't really need to do much here. I just need to see out all this stuff, right? So I will see out I plus 1 because we start counting at 1 instead of 0 like we do in the actual code. What did it look like earlier? It was like 1, the name of the rocket, and the ticket price is. So we have rockets.get rockets I dot get rocket type. So that gives us the name, right? And the ticket price is some amount of dollars. So we can say rockets of I get ticket price cool. So now that should print it out no matter how many we have, and that's a little bit more convenient because I don't have to write out all of this stuff every single time. In fact, yeah, we can do that with this too. So that needs to be hard-coded, but this one, so we'll just say print the availability. So this might have been why the check rocket availability was convenient. Actually, we couldn't have hard-coded this anyways, because it's not always going to be 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to make a new function just because I changed the way get rocket availability worked. So maybe we'll call this one is available. Nah, I'll keep it just so it's easier for people to read later. So check rocket availability, and then we will get another one that says int, and then we'll say get open seats. And then that will just return seats minus the book seats, which again is the size now because it's the vector. And then boom, that should be easier. gets how many seats are open for the rocket. Right, so we can say cout, and then it looks like it prints the name. So we'll say, again, rocket sub I to access the ith rocket. Dot, that was rocket type. Is available. I mean, I guess we would probably want that to say is not available, but that's okay. I'm just going to leave that. We could do it with a ternary statement pretty easily. Maybe I'll talk about those at some point. But yeah, we'll just leave that, I guess. Is available with, and then we'll get the actual number now. So rockets sub I dot get open seats. Passengers. Okay, so now I don't need any of these. That'll just print itself. And then, oh, did I say int I? This should just be I. I already declared an int I up here. Okay, so that seems to take care of that. Oh, right, and then it's supposed to return the choice. So I think it says cout, like enter a choice. Cout enter your choice, and we probably want to do some error correction here. I probably won't test this too much, so we'll just say int choice, and we will say while cin choice. I wonder, does this work, or do I have to put it in brackets? Well, that seems to work. Okay, so while it doesn't read successfully, we will say cout error, please enter a valid choice. In line, ask him to print it again, I guess, and then we will just say cin.ignore, cin.clear. Let me do it this way. I think that's probably good. Just make sure the order is correct. Okay. So now let's say while it is not a successful read, keep reading, and then it will clear the buffer, and it will, or sorry, this doesn't clear the buffer. This will clear the flag that makes the while loop keep going, and then, oh, no. I'm sorry. Do that up here. Otherwise it won't get flagged correctly, because it'll clear it before it goes back up to check that it failed. I think. That should work, I hope. Read while we keep getting bad input. Hopefully that should work. And then last thing we just have to do is return choice, and we should be done. That should work. Okay, that looks like all the functions. Now we just got to write main. So yeah, I wrote a thing here. I'm going to go ahead and rocket dot, sorry. Yeah, I said earlier I was going to make a vector of rockets, so vector rocket. Oh, we don't need switch statements, and then I'm going to immediately down here, I'm going to say set all the rockets. So we'll do that. I'm just going to take all of those. So rockets dot push back. I'm going to push all of those in there. Now, ideally, I wouldn't be using obj1, obj2, obj3, or obj4 at all, but I can't really just initialize a rocket without having all of these. In fact, I could just make obj1 and then just push it 4 times and it would be fine. Because when you do a pushback with a normal object, it actually makes a copy of it. But this is okay. That'll be fine. So now we just got to set everything based off that table. That's going to take a little while. But I'm going to pull it up and then probably just move it to the side. Yeah, so we got to set all this stuff. Put that over here. We'll put this over there. Hopefully that's good enough. So rockets sub-0 dot. So we need to set the rocket type. And we'll call that cold gas. Set the ticket price to be 10,000. Set fuel capacity, we'll make that 773,000. Rockets sub-0 dot set fuel type. Is that what I call it? Set propellant? Is that one? I think these last ones might be the set rocket specs, except for velocity. That one's its own thing. So set velocity to 25,000. Okay, then the last one, rockets sub-0 dot set rocket specs. That takes the string, which was the propellant. So for this one, that was hydrogen. And then it took the acceleration and the thrust, so 12.9 and 12.1. Cool. So that's done. And then we just got to do the other 3 rockets. Actually, does this work in Visual Studio if I... Hey, there we go. If you hold Alt, you can cheat and do that. Oh no. If you right click, it makes it go away though. 2, 3. And then we just gotta keep typing. So this part's not particularly interesting. I'm sure, at least out of all the ones I've graded so far, I think everybody's got this right. Which is good. $759,320. 2100. We just set all the velocities so I don't have to scroll over again. Oh, sorry, this one's 2300. This one's 2800. Okay, chemical. Yeah, and I just finished setting all this. Hypergolic, and then it takes 12.1 and 12.2. Okay. Electric, and last one's hybrid. I don't have to keep scrolling over. I'll just move that there. Ticket price for this one is 15. This one is 16. 657 200 and 521 400. already set those, so I think I just need to set this, right? Hydrazine. Okay. Let me just make sure everything's still running fine with the stream. I think it is. Okay. Hydrazine, 1600, 51. Yep. Yep. Oxidizers. Okay, so that takes care of the first part. So we set all the rocket information, shouldn't need this anymore. And then now we have to do the menu. So handle the rocket menu, and we wanted to loop as long as the user kept saying yes or no. So I'm just going to create a character called user response or something like that. I'm going to set it to be Y by default, and we will say while user response is yes. Yes. So we'll just keep looping. I'll wait for that. And then every single time I think we want to show them the rocket menu and then use their response to do some things. Right? So it prompts them and then asks them for available amount of seats and then asks them for all the passengers. Okay, so we will do int choice. Okay, another variable to hold that. So we already wrote a function called show rocket menu that shows the rocket menu, and it already handles the cin problem and then responds with the option that the user picked, so we don't have to do any sort of cin stuff. Get the choice from the user for the rocket. All right. And oh, you know what? I should do one more thing. I didn't check for something up here. Right. So while cin is failing and choice is less than 0 and or choice is greater than, actually I guess I should say less than 1 because we started counting at 1, right? Choice is greater than, this is in the menu, so this is for a menu, and we've given it the rockets. So yeah, we have a length of how many rockets we want. So rockets dot size. And then let's make sure to do that. So while we keep getting bad input or the choice is out of bounds. That should fix it, I think. I'll even make sure they don't type in something like 7 when we only have 4 rockets. Okay, so that should be good. Now we want to ask them for a amount of passengers. So ask the user so I think we have one here. We have p-type. We have st. I don't really know what that one's for. Book st. Probably going to delete these. I don't know if I'll need the iteration either. Double time. That's fine. Yeah, I'm just going to create a new variable called passenger count. And we'll again do something similar. We'll say while not cin passenger count. So we'll keep reading until we get something valid. And actually, I guess we should also check the rocket availability. So if check, oops. So the choice was the number rocket into the vector that we wanted. And so dot check rocket availability. So I'm going to, based off the user selection, which was choice, I'm going to go choice -1 because we started counting at 1 and we normally start counting at 0 with vectors and arrays. So if the choice rocket is available, then we actually want to do something. Otherwise, we shouldn't even bother because the rocket has no seats. So else cout rocket is unavailable. Okay, so that should take care of that. And then, yeah, let's keep going with this. So read in the passenger. So we'll say if they either enter a negative passenger count, we'll get angry at them, and if they say that passenger count is oh no, there we go. Passenger count is greater than the amount of passengers that are currently available. Actually, I guess again we should probably say 1 because it doesn't make sense for them to ask for 0 passengers. Passenger count is greater than, again we have the choice rocket, so rocket sub choice -1 dot get open seats. And then one more. Right, so while the input is bad and the number is either negative or too big, do I want that there? That sounds not super great to keep looping. Because if there are 0 left or like 1 left, well, I guess if it's 0 left, it's gonna just break there anyways. Yeah, we'll just stick with this. I'm sure it could be a little bit more elegant. That's alright. Okay, so again, we want to do cin.ignore and cin.clear, and then give them an error message. Error. Valid number of passengers, and we could be a little bit more specific if I move this if statement down, which is kind of what I was planning on doing, but that's alright. Leave that there. So now we should have the passenger count. So go through all of the passenger menus. So for int I, nope, I already have an I. For I equals 0, I less than passenger count, I plus plus. And then we'll prompt for each of these. So we already have something called first name, we already have something called last name, and then we have an integer for passenger type, which we will just turn into the passenger status enum at the top. Right. Okay, so we need to prompt for the first name, so cout enter first name I'm just going to be lazy with this one. We could keep doing the error checking, but I think I'm just going to not do that right now. Enter last name. Let's throw an end line to make that look a little nicer. Enter last name. Put a space there. CN. File name. Okay, yeah, we're good. Enter last name, and then we want to enter cout. So we'll do something like that. Actually, maybe we'll make it look a little nicer. Choose passenger type. Okay, this isn't going to match the sample output exactly because I'm not actually looking at what it typed. Let me just make a note for later for everybody. We'll skip error checking for simplicity. Although you should be doing error checking. I'm just going to be lazy because it does take a little while, and I'm going to assume that this is fine. Okay, so now we have all of that, and then I'm just going to cout line, enter number or something like that. That should be fine, and then we will see in the P type. Okay, so now we should have the actual passenger type, and we can work with that. So yeah, this should be fine. I guess we do have to do this. I was going to do that as an enum, but it's starting to seem like it might be a better idea just keep it as an integer. I want to remove that really quick. I'm going to change it to an integer. I'm going to define veteran 1, define non-veteran 2. I think that'll be easier to read if we do it that way. I think I changed all those. Okay, cool. So then let's create a passenger. So let me go up here, passenger. Temp passenger. Okay, we'll just use that to temporarily store the passenger while we're adding them. So temp passenger dot set name, and we'll set that to f name, l name, and then we'll do the same, and we'll set the set passenger type to p type. Okay. So then we just need to check the p type to display the actual thing. So I'm going to write a nice little statement to do it, and then I'm going to comment it out, and we'll just ignore it. So one way I could do this is, and actually let's look at the output really quick. So I need to cout the price, I think. Yeah. Your ticket price is that. Cout your ticket price is, want to end line before this. I'm going to do this two different ways, one of which I will cover in class at some point. So we'll say your ticket price is, and then we'll calculate the ticket price. So if the person is a veteran, then we want to take 10% off. And if they are not a veteran, then we want to just charge regular, right? So what we'll do is we will say if P type is a veteran, and then if you put a question mark, it's like putting an if statement. So if P type is equal to veteran, then we want to give them 90% off, or 90% because it's 10% off. So we have a constant that I gave you up here, double veteran discount. So that should be the discounted price. So we'll say veteran discount times rocket sub choice -1 dot get ticket price. That should be rocket. So we'll take the veteran discount times the rocket choice there, and then if I put a colon, it's basically like doing the else statement. So this basically says P type, if P type is veteran, then give them the discount, otherwise just give them the normal price. And I will comment that out, but that is a way to do it with one line, so I figured it might be nice to show. Ternary statement example. We'll go over that at some point, I'm sure. I'll talk about it. I do kind of like ternary statements. So we'll write basically the same thing here. So if P type equals veteran, and then we'll do it this way. Should probably mute Discord. It's a little bit annoying. There we go. So if the person is a veteran, give them a discount. And then we'll just print this too, I guess, with 10% off. Is that, and then we'll say else if P type equals non-veteran, and then we'll just print it normally. And then no veteran discount. Okay, that's probably good for that one. And then the last thing we want to do is actually purchase the ticket. So now purchase the actual ticket. And then we'll say rocket sub choice -1. And we'll purchase our ticket for that one. So purchase ticket. And then we created a temp passenger, so we'll just pass that. Okay. So that takes care of this whole part, I think. And then we need to ask them whether they want to keep going. I think that's everything for the rocket, right? We just need to keep looping for the passengers, and then it'll ask them every single time. Okay, so let's go down here. So after we do the rocket stuff, then we want to prompt to keep going. See out. Would you like to enter more passengers? YN. And then we'll see into user response. Again, we should do error checking here, but I'm going to be lazy. And then I will see out and mline for nice. Okay. So that should be good. That should take care of implement the menus, decide which rocket to use based on the selection. We did that. The amount of tickets they want are not purchasable. We took care of that. Display the price. We did that. And then we now just need to actually make the rockets fly. Make the rockets fly. And again, I can use a vector for that. So I equals 0, I less than rockets dot size, I plus plus. And then I think we display a few things. So we display how long it would take in hours, and then we end up just flying that many. So I think we have one called time. Was that it? We had a variable for it. Yeah, we have a double called time, and you can see in the actual thing that gets printed here. So it says you will take this many hours to get there. So I'm going to put this again off to the side just so I can see what I'm supposed to be typing. So that's cout gear and then rockets sub I dot get rocket type passengers. So we'll give them the name. The rocket will take off shortly. And then we want to print the total distance and the time. I'm not even going to use the time variable. Let's just throw that out. We could, but I think I'd just rather not. I am going to do one called int distance traveled. I'm going to do one called that though. We'll use that at the bottom. That'll just keep track of how far we've flown so we can actually print this stuff here. But I don't need the time because I can just print it in the cout statement because that's the only time I really need to use it. I could use it for the for loop as well if I did something like sealing with a math function, but I'm just going to not do that for now. So let's cout distance to destination is, and then we have something called travel distance, which is a constant we set at the top, and that is how far we're going to fly. So we'll just do that, and then we'll end line. And then we want to print how many hours it will take, so cout time to reach destination, and then we'll calculate that inline. So remember that from like high school physics or like algebra or whatever, distance equals a rate divided by time. So we have the distance, we have the rate, which is the velocity, right? We want to figure out the time. So if I do a little bit of algebra, so if I have d equals r over t, I multiply the t over to the other side, so we get d times t equals r, and then I want to get t by itself, so I would divide by the d. So I would get t equals d over r. Let me just comment that in here. Distance equals rate over time, so time equals rates over distance. Hopefully everybody's algebra is okay enough to figure that out. And then we'll just do that. So we want to take the rate over the distance. So that would be the rockets sub I dot get velocity. Velocity is already a double, so we don't have to do anything extra, and we'll divide that by the distance, which is the travel distance. Hours. Okay, so that should be done. And then we just actually have to do that, do the actual flying. So print out the rocket header. Now print the actual flying part. So all we have to do is we're going to start at, so I created a new variable called distance traveled, so 0, start with no distance traveled, and then we're just going to make that go up over time. So we'll say while distance traveled is less than the travel distance destination, then we'll keep going. Okay, so let me also, I'm going to change one of the variables. We had j up here. I'm going to remove that for one thing. I'm going to replace j with a different integer that's just named hours. Actually, let's move that a little bit down. Okay, and so every time we do this, we'll say hours 0. Set starting hours to 0. Okay, so we'll see out after hours, so we'll let them know how many hours they've been flying. The rocket has traveled distance traveled miles. So we'll let them know how long it's been and then how far they've traveled. So on the first one will be 0 hours, they've traveled 0 distance. I don't know if that was actually in the input. It wasn't, but I'll just put it there anyways. Right, and then all we have to do is we just need to make it go up every single time. So every hour, if you consider, if we have velocity, which is in miles per hour, then every hour that passes, we should go up by that many miles, right? Just by the way rates work. So we will make the miles go up. So distance traveled, we'll say that's going to go up by the rocket. So I dot get velocity, right? Because the velocity is the thing that's in miles per hour. And then we want to say hours plus plus, so let hours go up. And that should about do it. So see out reached destination. And then I'll post another one there. Now, is there anything else that happens? I don't think so. I think we're good. I think we're done. So, last thing, let's make sure that let's just run it normally. See if it works. There are build errors. Int choice redefinition. Int choice. Did I do that up here? Oh yeah. He gave that already. Okay, so I can just throw that out. That's fine. That's not a big deal. That should fix this. Nope. Show rocket menu void. Oh, show rocket menu is void? Right there, it's int. Is it void in the... No, that's there. It says it's not found. Did I misspell it? Oh! Nope, I forgot to give this one... I forgot to give the declaration the same parameter. Formal parameter list. Okay, that should fix it. Show rocket menu does not... Yeah, because I just changed it. Whoops. So where's the show rocket menu? So we're going to show the rocket menu using the rockets vector. Now work. Nope. Still a problem. Debugging is half a code. Standard vector, class rocket, standard allocator. Referenced in function main. Oh, I think this is what I was worried about earlier. Menu show rocket menu. Oh no, never mind. Referenced in function main. Yes. Oh. It's still not implemented because I forgot to throw the scope resolution operator to say that that was where it came from. Okay, so this should be not green anymore, right? Yeah. Okay, now it actually runs. So we see here status of seats availability. It doesn't look very pretty, but yeah, see it prints 1, 2, 3, 4, and we never actually explicitly wrote 1, 2, or 3, 4, and it writes all the names. So that was a lot of work saved. So enter your choice. 2, rocket is unavailable. Oh, I totally forgot to set the number of seats. We're supposed to do that first. That's my bad. Let's fix that. Let's also make the menu look a little bit nicer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Choice. Rocket options are... Let's throw an end line in here just to make that spaced a little bit nicer. And then put a period and a space. And the ticket price is that. Using closing quote. Okay, never mind. That's fine. Enter your choice. I think this is all okay. That'll look at least a little bit nicer. Yeah, I forgot. Let's go back to main. And we need to prompt the user for seats. First prompt for seat counts. Now fill in based off the table. Okay, so yeah, let's first prompt for the seat counts. So we'll do for I equals 0, I less than rockets dot size, I plus plus. Enter count. Enter seats for rocket. I plus 1. And then again, I'm just going to be lazy. And we will just take this and cin. And we'll see in some seats count. So I don't think I have one for that yet. See in seats. And then we'll say rocket sub I dot set seats. Seats. Okay. So no error checking, but we'll just say that's probably good enough. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so now it correctly gets that. So now if I say 1, it does nothing. That's a problem. To your choice. So there's probably something wrong with my loop that I'm doing here. Let's just try to figure that out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah. So next line. Oh no, what did it do? So it did return 1. That's what I typed in. Okay. Oh, do I just never prompt for anything? Is that the problem? That is the problem. My user interface is just kind of bad. So C out, enter passenger count. throw that down here. What seems to be the problem? What did I get rid of? Let's Control Z till it works. CN is ambiguous. Did I remove namespace standard or something? Well, if I run it, it's fine. I think the compiler is just a little buggy right now. Yeah, let's just see out enter passengers count. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now it does that. I'm going to remove this, I suppose. 1, 2. Veteran seems to work. It does 10% off. And then, yeah, it prompts me for another user. And we'll just say non-veteran. Okay, so your ticket price is that. I don't put a dollar sign. I guess that's not a big deal. If I say yes, it should go back to the loop. And then it updated this, and I didn't properly check that. Ah, bad on me. -1 passengers. So let's just fix a couple of things here. I think the veteran and non-veteran part was not spaced well as well. Enter first name, enter last name. Veteran 2, non-veteran. There you go. So, I did put that there. I wonder why. Why not she in? Oh, you know what? Yeah, I should have done this separately, like I was saying. Oh, yeah, let's throw this in here. So maybe we'll just add a bool for a valid read. Oh, whoops, that's supposed to be lowercase. Cool. Alright, and so we'll set valid read equal to this. Valid read equals this whole mess. And we'll say if that, else this. So if cin and valid, well, actually we don't have to check valid read. Oh, yeah. And not valid read. Then we will see out there aren't that many seats left. Please enter a valid number. And then we'll endline that, and then we'll throw an endline there. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. So if I say 2 now, it still gives me that. Curious. There's 1,500. Thermoelectric and the ticket price is 1,500. Cold gas and the price is 1. It says passenger 1, so it's clearly getting the right number. Let's go here. It's not checking anything. Oh, you know what? It might be because of the C in part. So let's reread that really quick. So while... You know what? Perhaps that's supposed to be an or. That might be my issue. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Ah, here we go. So now we should get valid read is... Yeah. Okay. So now it seems to recognize that. Maybe not in the way I wanted it to, but that's okay. So now if I type in 1, yeah. And we can make the UI better, but I think I'm just going to work with this. I didn't even type my name right. Okay. So say no, and we'll just make sure that this looks generally correct. So it said it would take 0. That doesn't sound right. So I'm doing something incorrectly, and this should also have a space. That looks generally right. I wonder what's up with that. So let's find out. The only thing that's not being calculated correctly is this part. So distance equals rate over time, so I'd multiply time over here, and that would be rate over distance. Get velocity. Did I just mess up my algebra? Oh, I did. Yeah, it's distance over rate, not rate over distance. Never trust me with math. It's too hard. So this would be the other way around. Okay. Now we're just going to hope this works well enough. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can enter that. I can enter a passenger count. Yes, there are. What? Clearly there's something wrong here. I might just remove this statement. Left. Yeah, let's move this back up here. Let's just keep it kind of ambiguous here. Okay, hopefully that works a little bit better. I think I just still had my logic backwards on that. So yeah, if I say 1, I enter passenger count, and I say 1, now it should let me. Error invalid number of passengers. 1, 1, 0. Would you like to enter more passengers? No. That's correct now. So this 8, and then it takes 8 hours, and then it reaches the destination. That's 10. It takes 10 and reaches it. Okay, so we got pretty much everything. It's just this doesn't print correctly. Oh yeah, greater than or equal to. Reason being is because if there's one open seat and they pick 1, that's fine. I was assuming that it would be strictly greater than. So this should fix it. Okay. Now for sure, right? We should be good. 1. Cool, so if I say like 5 here, now it doesn't stop me at all. No, I was right originally. Or passenger counts. Or So if the read failed or the passenger, yeah, I am doing really bad on logic with this. 1, now if I say 2, error invalid number, but if I say 1, it's fine. Okay. 1, and just to make sure, let's pick rocket 2, let's say 5, and it says no, and then if I say 2, it's fine. Okay. Oh, and I actually have to enter these. And then it flies. Okay, we did it. Finally. It took me a while. My logic was backwards there for a while. That wasn't very good. Nobody's left, which is totally understandable. It's a Sunday. Kind of picked a strange time for this. But this is going to be up for recording anyways. So I will post this later. Maybe I'll fix the CN stuff. I was kind of lazy. I just didn't feel like typing the same thing a bunch of times. But there's how I would do it for the most part. The main things to take away that I changed, I think, would be the stuff here in the rocket class. So if you're just looking at the end and skipping and see if I'm saying anything important, I would watch maybe the first 10-20 minutes, and then everything else is pretty standard. I would just look at the sample output if you need help. Okay.